Geniene, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kat. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, so excited for you to be here, and thank you for accepting my invitation. This topic is something that does not get talked about often enough, menopause, is it?
No, like I said in, I think the book, and I shouldn't say I think, I know I've said in the book, it's the elephant in the room that we don't seem to want to talk about, or we think it's only happening to us, but it's not
Mm.
happening just to us. It's happening to so many other women, and we need to help and support each other.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and that's what this network is all about, the win-win women, helping other women support each other, connect, and learn about stuff. And so I appreciate you coming on here. Why do you think that it is the elephant in the room, and why don't people want to talk about menopause?
Well, I can remember back in my day as a young child, and that would be in the 60s, and my mom and grandmother, and they weren't really talking about it. They may see someone and they would kind of say, oh, she's going through her personal summer. And that would mean menopause. But it was just a hush hush conversation. And probably back in those days too, you didn't talk much about your period, your menstrual cycle. So I think it just carried over. But also now in our day, it also means that a woman is getting older, and
Mhm.
that is not looked upon and accepted very well in our society, as we see so many people trying to have plastic surgery and do those things to keep them younger, which is no problem with that. I have no problem. I'm not against that. But we also need to learn how to embrace the stages in our life where we are, because it's beautiful. And
Mm.
so, yes.
I agree with you. And that is tough to do in this culture, embracing the stage, especially as an older woman, because it is not valued. Youth is very prized. And it should be, but so should growing older. And as much as I know I've healed some of my wounds around that, I'm affected by it. I used to drink collagen to help reduce the fine lines in my eyes, but I decided not to spend the money on it. And I'm like, ooh, they look a little puffier, a little snuffier. Can I just embrace it and accept it and show up in my full glory? Or am I going to get caught up in the, this culture that doesn't value who we are because we might have an extra few lines or not, right?
I know. And I think it's, whatever we decide, but sometimes you just say, the heck with it. I'm just going to flow with it. I'm just going to let the gray come, or to let the crow feet come. I think we get to a certain point that the heck with it. But there's nothing wrong with us, of course, trying to continue to be sexy and beautiful. But I don't think we have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to do so. And that's just my personal opinion.
I agree with you, because I think that feeling sexy, that feeling alive, that vibrant, it's a feeling, right? It's not a number,
Yes.
and it's not about all the products. It comes from
Yes.
inside. And do you think that, as we age, though, menopause, like, it affects aspects of us that we're not, like you said, we're not told when we're younger. It's a hush hush topic. Like, how does it affect us? Like the changes in the physiology, or the mind, the body, or spirit. Is there anything you want to share about any of that?
Yeah, I would. And I first want to say I'm not a doctor, so I'm just speaking from my personal experience, as well
Right.
as what I've researched and done.
Mhm.
But there's a part of my book where I call the craziness of menopause, because it does affect us. We have to remember, these bodies that were designed to carry a child for 9 months, what happens to us when that body starts shutting down, or that baby making phase starts shutting down? Our estrogen level goes low, and thus producing and causing a chemical imbalance. So there's going to be a little, what I call, craziness. And we don't see it coming. And that's the thing.
Right.
We don't see it coming. And we just may have um, episode of just yelling or screaming or crying, and you don't even know why, or just being mad and you don't know why. And those are some of the effects of menopause, which menopause actually comes in 3 stages. It's the perimenopause, and then menopause, and it's the postmenopause. And actually, menopause, I was surprised to find out from my doctor, menopause is only 1 day. Everything else is perimenopause or postmenopause.
I read that when I was preparing for the show in, in a review, the review or the online information about your book. And I had never heard that before, that it's technically 1 day. So maybe you can dive into that a little further, because I'm familiar with perimenopause. I think that I'm in menopause. I don't even know, because my doctor has said different things. So maybe you could break that down for people like a little further.
Yeah, the menopause, after your body has gone 365 days without a period, because once we start the perimenopause phase, we may go a couple of months without having a cycle. And then all of a sudden, there it is. And it can come what they call known as flooding. That's just things that happen to our body during this time, or it could come very lightly, but that still counts as a period. So when you have gone 365 days without a period, then you have officially done menopause. And I put in the book that menopause says, ta-da, you're done with me. I'm not responsible for the rest of the stuff that's happening to your body. And it quietly exits and leaves our lives. And so, yes.
No, that's great. And is there an average age or an age that a woman can expect to hit that magic day, that menopause day, or does it vary?
I would say it varies. And I would say also that our moms, and I would love to use the term favorite aunties, are some of the best indicators for us, because usually if they've gone through it, we will go through it, and maybe around their age. And if some moms have not gone through it, usually the daughters do not go through it. My mother-in-law said she did not go through it, and my sister-in-law, who's in her 60s, said she had never gone through it. But my mom definitely did. I don't know the age. I've been getting calls from women in their early 50s, middle 50s. For me, I think it was around probably, was it 50s? I was in my late 50s when I had my first hot flash. So it really, really varies. And then there's some women that are in their 40s that will begin to experience night sweats, but maybe not hot flashes. So it really is what's in our genes and what's in our bodies. And I know sometimes the doctor will tell us one thing, but we know our bodies and we know what's happening. So we have to listen to our bodies.
I love that you said that. I think that's where the magic is, really learning to listen to our bodies. That's a lot of what this show is about tuning in and tapping in. But, I'm not a doctor either, and I've had mixed experiences, but I find that at least in my interactions, a lot of doctors have dismissed me listening to my own body and knowing what's going on. And in the women that I work with, that's a theme sometimes. So it's hard to know. Not that we shouldn't go to the doctor. There is a time and a place, but
yes,
your point to asking your mother, asking your aunties what it was like for them when they went through it can be a really good way to learn about this for ourselves and tapping into our body.
Yes, and just a little off the subject, I had heard on the radio this female, and she was a nurse. She went to the hospital because she just did not feel right, and I believe she was pregnant. And they basically told her to go home. You're fine, nothing is wrong. She said, no, I know something is wrong. And shortly after that, she slipped into a coma. And she's fine now, but she knew something was off when they were trying to send her home. So yes, I think we should listen to our bodies.
We should. I know a woman years ago that something very similar happened when she was pregnant, and she ended up having, placenta previa, and she ended up, they sent her home, but there was a huge lawsuit because of it, because she went into a coma and had complications, and it was kind of a nightmare. And I know those are more extreme cases, but we are often dismissed. And that's why this piece about the craziness is so important to me, because sometimes when we press like something is wrong, I know something is not there, many of us have been labeled as crazy, not just with the menopause, but with other things. And I think that's a disservice to so many people. But sometimes in that perimenopausal phase, we can feel like we're a little crazy because our hormones
Yes.
are, all out of balance. Can you speak to that on any level? Any thoughts come to mind about that topic?
Yeah, I think like you said, Kat, that it is unfair. We may get labeled crazy or bipolar, or we're having an episode when all we're doing is experiencing the changes that we cannot control that are going through our bodies. Back a long time ago, there was a TV show called Family Matters, and they had Steve Urkel, and he was such a clumsy little kid, and he would stop and say after he finished, "Did I do that?" And it's kind of like with the perimenopause, and then even going through postmenopausal, when maybe we just have had an episode of craziness, and that episode of craziness is really just our bodies feeling chemically imbalanced, and we don't know what to do. It's like the Hulk coming out of us. Something is changing and happening to us, and we just have to kind of release it. And then when it's all over, we're like, did I do that? And just hoping that we haven't offended, and that our mates or children understand we're sorry, but we just can't help what is going on with us right now. And it really is. And society, like I said earlier, needs to think about it. If this body can carry a child for 9 months, what happens when the body stops and is shutting down from carrying a child, and that baby factory is shutting down? There is a hormone chemical imbalance that we as women have to deal with and sometimes suffer through. And that's why I've called it the craziness of menopause.
Yeah, it can be a little crazy making, especially if we don't know that this is part of it, right? Because then we really feel like something's wrong with us, or we're told something's wrong when it is a natural, thing. And for some women, the hormonal imbalance can be more extreme than for others. Are there any things that you found that can help women through this phase?
I used to take, because my mom would take Lydia Pinkham, and me and my circle of girlfriends, it's about 5 of us going through this at the same time.
Yeah.
And that seemed to calm me down. But I also found out that because of the herbs, the strong herbs in Lydia Pinkham, also caused my blood pressure to go up. So there's other people that they may drink a certain type of juice. I forget, it's in my book what someone else has said. But you have to really be careful and monitor your blood pressure and make sure everything is fine. So I really am cautious on that. So I have not really found anything. One of our girlfriends, she ended up taking shots, actually shots to her body to keep her kind of chemically balanced. But the rest of us decided, no, we're just gonna, what I call, ride the wave and ride it out. So there may be like, oh God, what is that tablet that you can take, the oil? And I can't think what it is now. But yeah, it was something that also I would take, and that also seemed to calm me down. And I'm sorry, I can't think of the name.
Okay.
If it comes to me, I'll say it.
No, that's great. So looking for alternative ways or different ways to help you stay calm, to help bring the hormones in balance, getting medical support if you need it.
Yes, definitely.
Like, I don't think it's a one or the other. It's like starting to know your body and trust it and see what resonates for you or works for you, right?
Yes.
And
maybe even look online for some they have a lot of things for menopause now, and sweats, night sweats, and hot flashes. I've never tried them, so I don't know if they work or not, but yeah, there's a lot to try.
Yeah, there is a lot to try. So do you think that one of the keys is to get support, or like you have with your girlfriends, like a tribe of women that are also experiencing something similar, so you can bounce this off each other and not feel so crazy because you're not alone, if nothing else?
Definitely, because when we go out, we call it our GDO, our girls stay out. one of us may have a hot flash, we're putting out a fan for them. And then if for whatever reason, it seems like we all end up having to share the fan, but being able to talk about it and not feeling like the weirdo in the room, or that it's only happening to you. I think it's very, very important to have that support group.
Yeah, I agree. Support is like so valuable, for going through anything or any kind of change. Do one of the points that I wrote down in the first question, because I took that out of your work, like depression, do you feel like a lot of women experience depression through this time, or it enhances existing depression that's there? Like, what's been your experience around
For
that?
me, I would say I experienced depression during this time, and probably because my body was chemically imbalanced. And if someone is already dealing with depression and now going through the perimenopause and the menopausal stage, that can enhance the depression that they feel already. And I do have a few numbers in my book in that chapter on depression, so someone can call and possibly get help. But this time is really real. If we're not careful during this time, it can probably cause a lot of problems with our husbands or boyfriends, because they do not understand, and they really, really need to understand. And it's really good for even a male to read this book, to understand that what your spouse or significant other is going through is very real. I can remember sometimes driving and my husband might be cold, but I need the air on, and it's the same at night. I may need the fan on and he's cold. Well, he's been so gracious. He goes and gets maybe a couple of blankets for himself, but it's something that's really real. And men really need to understand that we are not crazy. We are just going through this period and this time, and we really need their support, and they need to know that this is real and it's really happening to us.
I think that's a great point, Geniene, about that this is good information for men as well, because then they don't think we're crazy, or we don't, they don't think whatever they're thinking, what could be going through their head, that this is a turbulent time, or can be, for women, and some women aren't even know why, and or like, what is going on in my body? I was never like this before, and all these questions, so that if they can understand a little, it's easier for them to be a rock, or to not take things personally. And I know that when I was going through some of that, particularly in the perimenopausal stuff, and we had a lot of other family dynamics and environmental conditions, but I was just like a wreck inside. And as much as I dealt with some of the other external things, I didn't connect that part of the waves in emotion was due to the perimenopausal aspect of it. I had no idea. And it was not, because like you said, it was not really talked about. So many other aspects of women's health were, but this was kind of just not on the table for a long time. So I really appreciate you shining light and saying that our spouses and significant others should at least be aware. And
yes, and I have one chapter, it's called Menopause, and I actually coined that phrase from a male co-worker who said, I'm going through menopause. And some of the other men would mock him, but he was going through sweating. He was moody, and we know men can be moody as well as women, but it's something that's more accepted for them. And when they're going through like their what we call for them a midlife crisis, they go get a new car or a new woman, and society accepts it. But when we're going through our menopausal stage, we get the labels of being bipolar or crazy, and it's not fair.
It's not. And I think this conversations like these are important to help put a stop to that, or to shine light on it, and have, shift other people's perceptions about what is really happening. A lot of the work I like to do is to get under the hood, get to the root of things. And this is, a great service that you provide. I hope people will get your book. I wanted to ask you, and we talked about this right before the show, but do you believe that menopause too, like once we hit that one day and then have the phase after that, this is a wisdom phase in our life, for women?
Yes, I do believe that we have a lot of wisdom. I think especially once we turn 50,
Mhm.
um, we become like, okay, wait, I know a few things. I've been through a few things and I'm ready to voice my opinion. I think we find our voice. I think we
Yeah.
have wisdom to provide and share with other people. Back in high school, we used to call it, in my day, the senior square, and I think my son said they called it the quad, where only the seniors got to hang out. Because
Mhm.
why? We served our time. We had gone through grade school and middle school, and we hit senior year, so we served our time. And we as women in our 50s and 60s, we have served our time, and we have a right. We have earned that right for people
Mhm.
to listen to us, because we know what we're talking about,
Yeah,
because we've been through a few things.
indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has. If you make it to 50 and beyond on this planet, you've been through stuff, you've seen a
Yes.
lot. And
Yes.
the goal, or at least for me, is to not stay stuck in any of the disappointments, the sorrows, the suffering of it, but extract the wisdom. Like grieve it,
Yes.
feel it, but extract the wisdom, the gifts, so other people can benefit from them.
Yes, and learn from it, because in everything
Yeah,
that we go through, there's a lesson, there's a growth process, and learn from it and extract from it. Even in something bad, there's something that we can glean positive from that, and that we can learn and grow from it, and then also pass it on to other women and our children, and maybe someone, just a smile to someone in the store, at the gas station, just giving them a smile can make a difference and help make their day better.
it can. I so appreciate you saying that. It really can. A smile and that, just that feeling of kindness towards someone else.
Yes,
It's people feel that and sense that, and I do believe it makes a difference. So
it does.
I'm glad that you are shining your light on the planet to the people in your sphere.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, that's a gift to people. Um, we've covered a lot of ground. We didn't dive deep into some things like I thought we'd have time for. Are there any things about menopause or your book that you want to share that we didn't get to, that you would love for people to know?
Um, what I don't really talk about a lot in my book, there's conversation number one, and that's strictly on menopause. And then I have another section called conversation number two. And
Okay.
in one of those sections, it says, we don't know their story. And I actually share other women's stories of sometimes tragedies, sometimes mean things that have happened. And it's a reminder for us, no matter what age we are, not to be mean girls, not to be mean women,
Mm,
but to tell ourselves before we want to judge and ridicule that person, wait a minute, I don't know their story. I don't know where they've come from. I don't know what they've been through. And maybe try to show some love instead of just being so quick to judge. And so there's other chapters like that in conversation number two. And it's just supporting women. And I think that that is a beautiful thing. And that's something
mm,
that I've learned. And then also, real quickly, I talk about when I was on the mountain bike going up a trail, and that was something that you did not see women do, men did. Me and my husband actually went up the Claremont Loop on the mountain bike, and there were women that were walking, because it's a rough trail. They were cheering me on. It didn't matter what color they were cheering me on, saying, you can do this, you got this, look at you. And if
mhm.
only we can, as women, no matter what, just shine the light and cheer people on, instead of feeling like everything's a competition, but try
Mhm.
to learn to compliment each other. I think this world would be a better place. And so I do share that.
I love that. And I agree with you. And I love that. I had this image when you talked about you and your husband on your mountain bikes and other women cheering you on. There's so much power in that. Last year, I was spending a lot more time at Walden Pond, local to me. And I went with another woman early in the morning, and I had dragged her out. We were testing like a program we wanted to do with other women, but she moved away. But, anyways, long story short, it was April and we were diving in or jumping into the water. It was pretty cold
Uh-huh.
here in New England. And she's like, I can't believe you have me doing this. And we're just in the water. And these other women, older women, walk by on the trail and they're like, yeah, that,
Yes,
that
yes,
feeling. They didn't
yes,
even say more than that, but it was like, okay, this is a good thing for me, my
yes,
friend. It's inspiring other women. They're inspiring us. And that energy, I think, ripples
yes,
out when we connect with other people in our day
yes,
or our week. Um,
yes.
and yeah.
I totally agree. And I call that girl power. I'm like, yes, yes. It's just something when women cheer each other on, and that energy that we provide and that excitement and just that encouragement. It's very positive and very strong and very real. And we need to do that. We need to provide that and share that with other women.
I think we do. Yeah. And that's like another conversation or deeper one, because everyone benefits, not just women. Like, our children, our spouses, the men in our lives, the people that we work with, like everybody benefits if
Yes,
women support each
yes.
other.
And it would make the world a nicer place.
It sure would. And that's one of my goals. That's what I'm moving into with this show. And this topic is about creating a more beautiful world for everybody.
Yes,
And the things
yes.
that you touched on, that non-judging, that almost like when you were talking about it, it's like a pause. I'm like, the menopause, like, let's just pause and give each other some
Oh,
grace,
good. That's
right?
good.
Yeah.
I like that. Yes.
Give each other some grace. I am so happy that you came and talked with me
Thank
today about
you.
this. I so appreciate you. Your perspective, you're radiant talking about it. I love that. And any final takeaway or last thought that you'd want to share with anyone listening about any topic?
Um, I would just say to the women, just give yourself some grace, love yourself. My play cousin, because she never knew it, Whitney Houston, said the greatest love of all is learning to love yourselves. And if we can just love ourselves, that will radiate to others, and also give ourselves some grace, not to be too hard on ourselves. We can be so hard on ourselves as women, and some of it is not our fault. Television does provide a little, like, we try to compare ourselves to that. No, let's learn to try to be happy and embrace who we are, and embrace the stage of life that we're in, because so many people didn't make it, and yet here
Yeah.
we are, and we should be grateful and just honored and blessed.
Yeah, here we are. And that's great. Feel and be honored and blessed. So thank you for that.
Yes.
If people want to know more about you, where can they find you? What's the best place to get your book?
Okay, well, you can get my book on Amazon, you can get it Apple iBooks, you can get it through Barnes and Noble, and also Zulon Press, Xulon Press.
Okay.
And you can find more about me on Instagram and Facebook through One Geniene, and that is Geniene with the G. And then I'm also on Clubhouse under Geniene Gary. And I don't have a website yet, but those are some ways you can find me.
That's okay. Well, it's coming. If you get the website, give it to me and we will connect it to the blog down the road.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you again for being here. I hope people will run out and get your book and learn about you and more about menopause, and
Yes.
how we can go through this together and then have that ripple effect of goodness out into the world. If you are
Yes.
listening to this live, stick around and have a conversation with Geniene and I. And if you're listening to the replay, thank you for your time, presence, and energy. If you're curious about my work, you can check out katmoulton.com, go to the Win-Win store and explore some of my offerings and all the many offerings from women on this network. As Geniene and I talked, it's so important for women to empower women and have each other's back. And that's what this network is about. It's not really a network, it's a global movement to support women in all areas of their life. So check out the other amazing shows 7 days a week, and the store. Thank you for connecting today. If you want to look into my community, you can go to creatrix.club. It's KREATRIX.club. From my heart to yours, may the energy of love flow through you and expand to create waves of pure, positive impact in this world. Thank you again for your time, presence, and energy. Until next time, so much love. Bye.